I thought it would be fun to explore the hard truths that many independent filmmakers seem to not want to hear. Hi, my name is Jenkins. I am a truly independent filmmaker in Birmingham, Alabama, and I believe that every filmmaker is a studio. Not everyone is going to want you to succeed. Humans are always comparing themselves to one another in some way. In the social realm, it's all too common for yesterday's indie hero to be rebranded a sellout the minute that they start scaling their career. I saw this on Reddit about a month ago with Sean Baker's release of Anora. When he first released his debut feature shot on an iPhone, he was branded as, oh my God, he's saving cinema, he's using these tools and it's going to like democratize filmmaking. And then now he's working with budgets because he's received critical commercial acclaim, and then people start talking about, oh, it must be nice to have that amount of privilege to be able to shoot on film. It's crabs in a bucket mentality. It's always going to be that way because it's baked into human nature. I have to admit, I recently experienced this myself. There's a filmmaker who had a huge break a few years ago. He and I ran in the same circles back in high school. We were never close, but we knew each other. And I hadn't seen him for over 20 years. And then one day I see him on TV doing big things, and I admit, I was a bit salty because I thought that was supposed to be me. My first instinct was to delegitimize his success, and it was pure pride on my part, and I'm currently repenting for it. Filmmaking itself is not zero sum. Just because someone else makes a great film doesn't mean that you're destined to make a crappy one. As the years go on, especially later into this decade, we're going to realize that the potential for success is almost unlimited, and anybody who believes otherwise is honestly not someone that you should be spending your time with or building a career with. The second hard truth: there's no virtue in being a starving artist. Many independent filmmakers glorify their lack of money and posture that their poverty is virtuous because they're not part of the mainstream Hollywood machine. But this inevitably limits a filmmakers' true creative potential because it forces them into a scarcity mindset that is unable to dream outside of their confined economic situation. The more an independent filmmaker can learn about money separate from the film industry, they'll begin to realize how money is created, distributed, spent, and this will demystify economic principles and give an independent filmmaker a blueprint for generating more income in their personal life and with their film projects. Unless profit is literally not a motive, in which case, that's fine, do it as a hobby. But for people who actually want to make money with their films, there is more than enough information out there in the world. I follow a lot of finance guys, entrepreneurs, venture capitalists on social media. It's not that I care what these entrepreneurs and venture capitalists have to say about art, but it's because they are masters of economic markets and how to combine that with big ideas. You know, it's valuable to me because it's a hedge. I'm not an expert on any of this finance stuff, but I plan to learn as much as I can about it and then implement what I've learned into my film business. And I don't know, it just seems like an obvious thing to learn about if you want to be a serious artist. And it still boggles my mind how little people know about it and how many people actually refuse to learn about economics and money. And if you don't care about money as a filmmaker, then you will eventually be lapped by a filmmaker who does. This hard truth might be the most controversial viewpoint of this entire video. Most filmmakers choose an unhealthy lifestyle. Being an independent filmmaker requires a lot of work, and the long hours, lack of sleep, and lack of exercise can lead to negative health outcomes over the long term. This is why you must prioritize your health if you plan to maximize your potential as a filmmaker. I believe that a healthy body creates a healthy mind, and this can be done by removing junk food from your diet, getting high-quality sleep every single day, abstaining from drugs and alcohol, which I know a lot of artists have trouble with, and partaking in a daily exercise regimen. Filmmakers who don't care about their health are literally leaving creativity on the table. It literally impedes your brain function, and it literally makes you dumber. And although it takes time and sacrifice to prioritize your health, your efforts will pay dividends. A healthy lifestyle can increase the length and the quality of your life, which will only enhance your career as a filmmaker. Imagine being able to make better films for longer. What's wrong with that? The fourth hard truth is that you're not as talented as you think. I've heard plenty of people give me compliments. I can tell that they enjoyed what I did, but I can tell that they didn't understand what I did. And the things that they compliment me for, I don't believe because I know I can do better than what they say is great. So it's not that you have to discount compliments or not be open to compliments, but do not let those compliments define your opinion of your abilities, because the easiest way to become a terrible filmmaker is to start believing that you're a great filmmaker. Have a bar to shoot for. Whatever that bar is, how high it is, that's up to you, but you must have an ideal to shoot for. And you'll know whether or not you reach it, because 99% of the time, you don't. But that's okay, because what you can do is you reverse engineer that 1% and then make that your baseline for your next project. Don't listen to the haters. Don't listen to the praisers. Focus on you. Get better, get better, get better. And this is actually what might be the most controversial hard truth of the entire video, is that you have to make content to succeed as an independent filmmaker. It's really easy to look at popular mainstream filmmakers like Christopher Nolan or Greta Gerwig and claim that they're pure artists. They only make films. All they have to do is just make films. They don't have to worry about social media. Christopher Nolan doesn't even have an email account. Well, of course they don't have to make content. They've got studios to do that for them. Hollywood spends tens of millions of dollars promoting their films, aka advertising, aka content, so that people like you on the internet will comment, repost, and create a tsunami of hype so that their films will make money. So Christopher Nolan doesn't make content, but Universal Studios does on his behalf. If you don't have that kind of backing, then how are you going to promote your film? You're going to have to make content. You're going to have to suck it up and build a personal brand. We live in a time when personal brands are a prerequisite for success. Why do you think I'm making this video? Because I have to grow my personal brand in addition to being a filmmaker, because we live in 2025. That's how this works. Think of content as leverage for your business, your filmmaking business. So consider this. There's one investor that's deciding on whether or not to invest in this filmmaker or this filmmaker. Filmmaker A, filmmaker B. They think the scripts are equally good. They think the filmmaker is equally talented. Who would they rather back? Filmmaker A has 13 followers on social media. Filmmaker B has 200,000 followers on social media that's active and loves their work. Which filmmaker is the investor going to back? 10 times out of 10, they're going to back the person who has a larger social media following, all things being equal. Yeah, you got to make content. No one cares about your politics. A downside of being a hyper-political artist is that you risk alienating an audience that just wants to be entertained. A politically neutral filmmaker is often seen as a more palatable choice for a wider audience. And if this is your goal, to scale into the mainstream eventually, it's probably best to keep your opinions to yourself and just focus on your art. If a filmmaker is too vocal about their political beliefs off camera, then I personally find myself hyperlinking to their opinions as I watch their movies and trying to decode their political intentions as opposed to just getting immersed in the story. You may personally love filmmakers that put politics first. However, mainstream audiences are starting to reject it. So in my opinion, for 2025 to 2028, just turn off the news for a few years and focus on making the best art that you possibly can. And it'll probably get you further than rah-rahing a social cause. So this is the final hard truth of this video. Some people that I know personally will probably reject this flat out, but it's something that I believe, is that you're actively handicapping your career potential by not aiming to work in the mainstream film industry. You want to make better films. You want to work with better people, which is going to force you to constantly reevaluate how you create, how you work, and who you work with. Think of it this way. Maybe your most recent film that you made, you edited yourself, but you recently met an editor on social media and he loved your film and expressed an interest in working with you in the future. Now that's great, that's incredible, but here's the deal. His rates aren't cheap. You got to pay him kind of a union scale perhaps. So which means that you have to raise more money for your next film, which means you need to do a better job at advertising yourself, selling yourself either through crowdfunding or traditional investment channels, which means that you may eventually need to travel out of your hometown or the town that you live to meet with these people in person to raise more money, to have a bigger budget, to hire people that you think would elevate the quality of your films. And when you take this thought experiment to its logical conclusion, you realize that you kind of have to be connected to the mainstream industry in order to have access to the artists and tools needed to make the best films that you can possibly make. Because you can poo-poo on Hollywood all you want, but you cannot deny the artistic and technical talent that exists out there. For me, I am going to be clear that I love the world of no-budget filmmaking. I think it is a gateway, a stepping stone to bigger things. It is nowhere near where I want to be for the rest of my career, but I'm not going to actively handicap myself for ideological reasons. I'm practical when it comes to filmmaking. Those are the hard truths that I believe that independent filmmakers need to hear. What did I get right? What did I get wrong? What do you vehemently disagree with? I want to hear your opinions in the comments. I really do. That's not just like engagement bait. I'm actually curious about what you believe on this subject. I really want to thank everyone who has subscribed to my channel over these past few weeks. A special thank you to those who are still watching this video right now. If you'd like to watch another video, here's another one somewhere on the screen. Cheers.